My ex-husband and I have had a very tense relationship since we got divorced. It's been 9 years. You would think it would have gotten easier. Unfortunately, kids have gotten older, and so we have less to talk about. But whenever we do, whenever we need to coordinate something, it's just like cats and dogs. And now, mind you, I teach people how to communicate. I teach people self accountability, and I have cleaned up my side of the street. I mean, I was toxic as fuck before, as fuck. Okay. But I really have cleaned up my side of the street. We blocked each other a million different times. At this point, we pretty much only communicate on email, and even that gets out of hand. Nevertheless, he has also, over the years, been trying to get me to communicate or trying to add his girlfriends into every single piece of our communications, coordinations. And I have been very resistant to that. Not because I don't like her. In fact, I like her more than I like him. And I've said that forever. But I just don't need a third person complicating this already complicated situation. Recently, we got into it about another bullshit something. And I just said, you know what? Fine, I'll communicate with her because just for my own peace and sanity. And you know what happened? Like within seconds and minutes, everything was getting done. Communication is free and easy, and there is no problem. My point here is that two women had to do the job that one man can't. We do not have a male loneliness epidemic. We have an epidemic of men who cannot take any kind of accountability, cannot self evaluate, cannot self reflect, and do not know how to communicate. And when you call something the male loneliness epidemic, it is as though this happened to them, as though they suddenly got a disease is so widespread that it's affecting all men. But the reality is that men caused this and made it so. And, I don't blame all men. I have a son and I know he's going to be suffering versions of this. And, this is a function of our patriarchal society. However, calling it the male loneliness epidemic rather than the male lack of emotional intelligence epidemic, rather than men's inability to take accountability, rather than men's inability to self reflect is the problem. Because if you called it that, it would put the responsibility on men to do something about it. But when you call it the male loneliness epidemic, it puts the responsibility outside of themselves.